Hello, everyone, and welcome to Screen Weens. I'm joined by Lex Luthor.
Yes, I am now Joe Boyle.
It's Joe! It's hot as hell. It's and it's randomly. 3 days ago, it was still in the 70s, or low 70s, and today it's 92!
Yeah!
So that's why Thomas cut his hair, right?
It was part of the reason. Yeah, because it's getting to that time of year where I need to have my car windows down, and they got fans blowing at work. My hair is long, so it just gets in my eyeball, and I'm just ah! So I chopped it all off.
It's gone.
It's gone, but not forgotten. But it'll be back in a year. And then I'll probably do this again, if I'm being quite honest. But we'll see. Maybe I'll let it grow out again one of these days.
But yeah, today we're going to be talking about Lupin the Third, Strange Psychokinetic Strategy. Mm-hmm. I remember it this time.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about Lupin the Third.
2014.
But it's been a week. Thomas, what have you been up to? You watched the first, finally.
I did. I watched the first. I watched a couple other Lupin specials. I watched Secret of the Twilight Gem. Let's see.
Legend of the Twilight... Yeah, I haven't... Gemini? I have not seen that.
Gemini.
I see you did not like it.
Yeah, I found that and The Pursuit of Haramo's Treasure.
Yeah.
I found those two to be very bland. Very... It's just this must have been an era of Lupin where they just really weren't hitting those creative sparks a whole lot. Because, I know that they were basically doing a special year at that point. And yeah, those two were kind of not the best, but they weren't holy god awful.
So they were watchable.
Yes, they were just very bland takes on Lupin. Fujiko was blonde in one of them though, so I was like, oh, a return of that. But yeah, and I think I had a hard time getting into them too because the dubs for him had the old Funimation dubs where they call him Lupin, and Jigen always calls Lupin boss, and he's voiced by Chris Sabat, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
Fair. But I saw you liked the first.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I think at least it looks really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I wish that all 3D anime looked like that, quite frankly. But
which is so funny. I don't know what Ghibli fucking did, but Earwig and the Witch or whatever, the 3D animated one that's god-awful and looks terrible, they teamed up with the same studio that did the 3D animation for Lupin the Third, the first. So I'm like, what the fuck did Ghibli do?
Yeah, they probably just went for that different, style, and maybe they just didn't, different director, probably. So it's yeah.
Miyazaki's son can't catch a break.
Nope. But maybe we'll get that Lupin the Third, the second. And
I would love a sequel.
I'd love a trilogy of films done in that style. Maybe even more after that. Who knows? I wouldn't stop.
Actually, I would. Now that we've had, I just love the idea of cycles of movies that are more tied to specific characters. I would love just a full 3D animated ones for each of the characters, or at least focusing on each of them.
That'd be nice.
And then a Zenigata one, and then one to tie it all together. One more of Lupin.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be opposed to an idea like that. I'm honestly just more open to seeing more experimental art styles in general. It's one of the reasons why I liked Blood Seal, the Eternal Mermaid. Even though that was kind of just Ghibli, it was kind of a modern Ghibli. So it was kind of nice to have that palette change.
That's fair.
But yes.
And then you watched that. Is it a documentary about George Carlin?
Yes. I watched George Carlin's American Dream, which is a 4-hour documentary split into 2 parts, directed by Judd Apatow. And yeah, I think it gives a pretty good overview of his life. I'm a pretty big George Carlin fan, so I had
Yeah, you look like one.
Yeah.
I like George Carlin.
Yeah. I had, what's it called? So I've, like, throughout my life, deep dived through a lot of his just, like, interviews and stuff in general. So I didn't learn, like, a whole lot new, but I thought it, like, laid it out in a very concise way that, like, people who don't know much about George Carlin, it'd be a good crash course.
He's the one that, he would make, like, he was really good at, like, painting and art, right? And he would, like, make, you know, these, like, super realistic versions of well-known paintings and then sell them off as fakes, right?
Oh, no. I don't remember that guy's name, but...
Mr. Art and Craft.
Mr. Art and Craft.
Funny guy.
He had his own Zenigata after him.
That guy was just like Lupin.
He was, honestly. Just an old Lupin who liked painting.
And he didn't really even care about the money. He liked the craft of it, just like Lupin.
Yeah, he was just a sick troll.
Classic.
Yeah.
Cool. Still going through One Piece, or took a break from One Piece?
We started Thriller Bark. I don't remember if I mentioned that.
I think you did.
Yeah. We haven't progressed a whole lot on it, because, he's been working nights this week, so we haven't exactly been on the same schedule, so...
Fair. Cool. I've watched a couple things. I rewatched the Hairspray musical movie from like 2007.
John Travolta?
Yeah. Unironically, I think that might be John Travolta's best performance. He puts his whole soul into that.
Yeah.
I really like that movie. I still haven't seen the original John Waters movie, but I really like that movie. I think it's very stupid but delightful, and I think the soundtrack's really, really good. We finished Obi-Wan. I feel so conflicted with that, because it's very obviously like has things like, because I'm sure this script had been floating around during when they were doing like the Star Wars stories, and then Solo flopped and they eventually reworked it into the show, because there are things that I'm like, this would be so fucking good in a movie. And I think this movie, if it was a movie, like a 2.5 hour movie, it would be incredible, but it's not. So there's a lot of just bad filler. But then also the direction's weak. However, I will say the final episode is fantastic for almost all of it. Like, I love that final episode. It almost bumped. I gave it the show a 6 out of 10, which is like, London's giving a 6 to a Star Wars product? What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. No, it's definitely raising some concern.
Like, at least it's at least double the quality of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I feel like that's not very hard to accomplish.
Yeah, me neither. And I will say I really like the performances in that show. Ewan McGregor's so good in it.
Oh.
I'm still excited for... I actually really am excited for Andor now. I wasn't necessarily, but I think the trailer looks pretty good. And it seems like the Lucasfilms has a lot of hope for it, because I think it's going to be like 10 or 12 episodes. Like, it's a longer one. And I'm very excited for Ahsoka, because I want to see certain characters I really like in live action. So
yeah,
which I know that's the same thing with. It's like, oh, we need to bring Glub Shido in, but it's fuck you. And then I watched 3 new movies all like 3 days ago, just all in a row. I watched Good Luck to You, Leo Grand. I saw it was a new movie on Hulu. I'm like, what's this? It was great. It kind of reminded me of, like, in its execution of like Scenes from a Marriage or something like that. Kind of feels like a play. It's about Emma Thompson, old. And she hires like a male escort because her like husband died. That was the only man she had ever been with, and she never felt like sexually satisfied. So it's a good exploration of like sex dynamics and sex work and stuff. I thought it was great. I was not expecting like anything from it, and I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. And then we went to the theater later that day. We saw The Black Phone, which another one. I was like, Scott Derrickson, I had rewatched his Doctor Strange, and I had rewatched Sinister, and both of those I just wasn't too hot on anymore. Sinister I still like, but wasn't as hot. So I was going into this being like, let's see. But I really liked The Black Phone.
Oh, okay.
Ethan Hawke's so good in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very fun horror. And then we watched Elvis.
Oh, yes.
Which I also thought was great. But it's so obnoxious. It's a Baz Luhrmann film. So you either love him or you hate him. I get it. But Tom Hanks, best and worst performance he's ever done. I don't know what the fuck he's doing in it. The fourth line of the movie is him just going, "There are some who would make me out to be the villain of this here story." And he talks like that the entire movie. Austin Butler is still stuck in the Elvis voice in real life because he was working with a vocal coach for so long that he's still slipping into it. And he's really good as it. Like, if you put up two performances of Elvis and Austin Butler to someone and they didn't know who they were, they might be like, that's Elvis to Austin Butler. I thought it was great. It's very long. It's like almost 3 hours. I felt exhausted by the end of it, but kind of in a good way. Like, wow, that was a lot of movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really weird ideas behind it. The whole story is told through the lens of the dying character of Tom Hanks is wandering around a hallucination of a casino while he's wearing his hospital gown. It's just, what the fuck were they? What kind of drugs were they on? But
I don't know. Reminds me of an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Some of it, yeah, literally. I really liked it. Have you seen Baz Luhrmann movies? Have you seen, like, Great Gatsby?
The Leo one?
Yeah.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Okay, he did that one, which I wasn't too hot on because the last time I saw it, I was in high school, and I liked the book a lot. But I feel like rewatching it, I might be like, this is stupid. I like it. Yeah. He did Moulin Rouge. I like that one. Have you seen that one?
A long time ago.
And he did, like, Romeo plus Juliet. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
But he just has, like, a super, like, maximalist, like, way of making movies, which I get if people don't like, but for, like, a fun time, I thought it was very fun. Not fun, we started watching Umbrella Academy Season 3, which I have not been a fan of any of the seasons. But Hinte has, and I don't know, it's not like, the other two seasons weren't, like, offensively bad to me, so I'm like, whatever, we'll watch it. We watched the first 5 episodes, and in my opinion, I think this is, like, easily the worst season so far. I think there's a couple interesting character moments, but most of the time, I think the characters are much worse than they were in the previous 2 seasons, and I just don't like the central story so far. I appreciate how they handle Elliot Page's transition in it. Like, it's kind of just a matter-of-fact thing. It's quick and easy. It's not making a huge spectacle of it. But it's still being like, hey, this happened. Like, I appreciate that. I think it's done pretty tactfully. But, like, the actual show, kind of garbage. Yeah, that's what I did. I finished The Witcher. I read Marvel's Secret Reverse, which is a graphic novel that was made by the guy who made Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh.
It's about Tony Stark and Spider-Man going to a gaming convention in Tokyo, and that guy has a dual disc pretty much, and he plays cards into the machine and becomes a horrible monster with it. It's very, very stupid, but I bought it because I knew it was going to be. So it's good. It's good in the same way Yu-Gi-Oh's good. And also Elvis. Same kind of vibe.
I see.
Baz Luhrmann should make the Yu-Gi-Oh movie!
I mean,
we figured it out. Send Konami, write a blank check to Baz Luhrmann. It'll be the best movie ever fucking made.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So that's what I've done this week.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it was Monday, so the day after we recorded, it was our anniversary. We mostly just stayed home. We finished our Imperial Assault campaign, which is one of the Star Wars games that we've had going for like 2 years. Because we only played every like month or two. And it had like, I think in total we did like 12, 13 missions. But it was very fun. I had a lot of fun. To the point that I'm like, okay, maybe we'll do it again now. But it's also one of those games that there's a lot of setup to it because there's a bunch of like modular tiles. So you're like, oh, here's this big thing you have to set up. I'm like, and I'm always the one that has to set it up. So I'm just like,
yeah.
And it's not even like Hinatea would if she could, but it's something that like I'm playing as the Empire and they know more things about the map. Like they know things. So I'm like, well, I have to set it up.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
But yeah. All right.
Keep having ghost hair whips where I'm whipping my head, but there's no hair to whip out.
Well, when I first cut my hair, I got like 6 inches cut off. I kept like doing this and going, where the fuck's the rest of my hair?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
We do not have any questions today. So you're just ready to... Oh, God.
Yeah. It is getting a little warm in here. But
we should just start like we should get an inflatable pool and just film in their backyard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed. We just have to get like some like fuzzy mic covers to stop the wind from making it sound.
Well, we wear Master Chief helmets as well, and the mic's in the helmet.
Ah, yes, of course. Yeah.
I'm smart.
There we go.
All right.
Can we fill the pool with Mountain Dew and Doritos?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yes.
Let's talk about Lupin the Third, Strange Psychokinetic Strategy.
Yes. From 1975?
I think 4?
Might be.
It's one of those two, though.
Yes. I wasn't sure what to expect. Yes, I wasn't sure what to expect with this one. And within the first few minutes, I think I was pleasantly surprised, where I was like, okay,
this feels like a Lupin movie.
But then a little later on, I was like, wait a minute. There are things in here that... I mean, in terms of like tone and spirit, yes. In terms of actual functionality, God, no. I think Jigen was probably the worst part. Because I didn't like his little backstory. Yeah,
where he's like he's the sole survivor of the Lupin like empire, which was an empire founded by his father, I think.
Yeah, Lupin II.
Yeah. And I didn't like that backstory in general. I'm like, what the why? Like, just have them be thieves. They don't need to have a thieves guild or like a empire.
Yeah.
Like, if they had a small guild, that'd be fine. If Jigen was, I'd be like, what the... But
Jigen's outfit, every time I saw him, I'm like, there's Zenigata, because it's like Zenigata's colors, and then Zenigata's wearing like darker stuff. I'm like, you guys should swap.
I think it's just because this was made right after part 1.
Yes.
So I think a lot of like the big character ideas aren't like even really things yet. Or at least some of them are.
I think that they just weren't quite, because like obviously in the pilot like the red jacket exists and the green jacket exists, and Jigen, I mean, it's kind of always been black suit, black hat, but
I guess with one season of something, I guess it isn't like needed. They probably felt like we can kind of do whatever we want with this character. And I guess I like Lupin's all-white suit. I'm like, this is kind of fun.
I didn't think that was bad.
I'm like, maybe part 7 should just have a white suit, Lupin.
Dude, I'm still gunning for a purple suit.
That's true. There's so many colors left.
Yeah, yellow, orange, the whole spectrum. A different shade of green.
Next time they do a dark version, it's just going to be the gray suit. But yeah, I was not expecting much from either of these movies, but this one I was just like, the tone is there. There are some very funny bits. Yes. Unfortunately, because it is the 70s, some of the, Fujiko stuff, Lupin and Fujiko, a little grosser than it should be. That's something I think it handled it a little better in the 2014 one, at least.
Yes, Mitch.
This one I was like, uncomfy.
Yeah, there were some moments here and there where it was like, yikes. But, I mean, that pops up pretty frequently throughout typical animated Lupin too sometimes, so it's like, alright. It's like, gross, but it's a common occurrence in Lupin, so what are you gonna do? But what's it called? Yes. I like this one. I think it had a lot going for it. I think where it suffers the most is in its runtime, because the plot is very thin.
Yeah, I think it suffers from its runtime. It feels a little long.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was enjoying it, and I'm like, oh, that was a good movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry, how much time is left? And in general, I just think the main story is just not good. Like, not even, like, thin. It's just also not entertaining.
Yeah, it's like, there's the old Lupin enemy game, and they're just stealing some gems, and they kidnap Fujiko, and Lupin's got to stop it while dealing with the cops. And it's just
it just doesn't really feel like, it doesn't have a Lupin flair to it.
Yeah. Best scene in the movie, when Jigen, like, lifts up his hat, though, and it's got the little, like, hat visor peeker thing, and it's just like,
There are some bits that I love, though, like when Zenigata and his police officer are chasing Lupin, and Lupin, like, slides and skids down, and they do the same thing, and their feet are just, like, on fire.
And they have to, like, put them in the river.
I thought that was very fun. I like the like, final house they're in. They, like, knock something over, and it just starts spinning, and they try to leave, and it's like, cliff!
Yeah.
Like, there is enough. Like, it has the tone, and it's goofy, and it's fun. I just, man, that story's just not doing it for me.
The story is, like, very close to non-existent, and it just feels like they had the plot for, like, a typical half-hour episode, and they were like, we need to stretch this out more, so let's just do a lot of, like, physical humor gags with bad 70s editing, bad for the time 70s editing, and on top of that, we need to squeeze a little more in there. Let's add some origin bits.
Yeah, and I think the origin bits are rough.
Yeah, it's just like they weren't needed. Mm-hmm. They don't add a whole lot to the story. And also,
I go back and forth on if I want origin stories for Lupin or not. Sometimes they're fun, sometimes I like them, but sometimes I'm just like, no, I don't. Get the fuck away.
I think my favorite thus far is the special episode 0, but even in that, they're just like, JK, not real. And it's just like, okay, cool. Great. Wonderful.
Yeah. I think also one of the funniest bits, before I forget, I do really like the shootout Lupin has with the guy, and he, like, instantly falls over, and he's like, oh, you didn't see what happened? And it goes super slow-mo, and he's, like, running around, and he's doing a little dance, he's like, ha ha ha, you were not gonna get me!
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of funny bits. I love the opening scene where he's just ghosts out of his car and is, like, trying to kiss Fujiko, and then he, like, crashes into the car, and he's just, like, at the wheel. I thought that was funny. Just a funny little gag. Yeah, I was surprised that, like, because I was expecting more of, like, a Lupin Part 1 kind of tone, seeing as that's what was out when this came out, but I was genuinely surprised how much it just felt like a run-of-the-mill Part 2 episode.
Yeah.
Very cartoony, very zany, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. My other major complaint, no Goemon.
Yeah, and I know he's not present in all the episodes of Part 1, I know, but he's there.
Yeah, no, he became a frequent character by the end of the run.
And he's, even if you think it's like, oh, it's based more like on the pilot film, I mean, he's the main, he's in the pilot film.
Yeah, he's like an antagonistic force in it. So
like, I would have liked, even if he was an antagonist in this, like, that would have been fun too.
Yeah, would have given him something to do, instead of just doing the typical, I'll be back here, and then I'll fight one guy, and then, I don't know, I'll just be back here some more. Yeah, Goemon definitely often the most underutilized.
I think that's why I loved Goemon's blood spray so much.
Yeah, no, it does a really good job at like kind of giving his character some more dimension and something to do.
But sometimes it's nice to just have a character that just is in the background and then just shows up just to do some fucking cool shit and then just leaves like that. Yeah. I do like Goemon for doing that. That is funny.
Yeah. In one of the specials I watched, they refer to him throughout the special as they're like, he's a part-timer. We pay him part-time.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like, interesting. But yeah, this one's okay. I like generally all the cast. I think I'm biased towards Jigen just because, like I've said before, Jigen is the hardest one to get right when he strays from. And what my status quo of him is, at the very least. And yeah, I wasn't super crazy about his characterization in this one. I like him more as, like, kind of his own guy.
Yeah, he's just a little too attached to Lupin in this, and he doesn't really get any, like, autonomy away from Lupin as a character. He's still connected by them. Like, if they could have done something interesting, but they didn't. Like, if they were going to use that runtime, like...
Yeah. Also, not a fan of Lupin's backstory in this. The like Catholic orphanage. Lupin, you bad boy! Like 9 times in a row.
Yeah, the first time it happened, I'm like, that's silly. And then I'm like, oh,
it's like, rule of thirds, rule of sixth,
rule of nines. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm like, cool. They're really padding out this runtime.
They could have done this for another like 2 minutes, and it would have been like a Tim and Eric sketch. But
they would have circled around to being funny again.
Yeah, but it was just not far enough, but too far in the first place. So it's like, okay. But yeah, this one,
that they do like a musical thing.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of Funeral Parade of Roses because they do that same type of thing over and over again.
Yeah,
I just don't think it fits as well in this though.
No.
Because in that one it kind of gets like darker and creepier and like sadder even. Mm-hmm. And this one is just like it just doesn't seem like they have any music. Like they're like, what do we own the rights to?
Nothing.
Like, yeah, I liked this much more than I thought I would. Mm-hmm. But it's not great. Enjoyable enough, I would say.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.
It's a fun, like, artifact for Lupin fans, though, to watch. It's like, this is weird. They made this.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
And then specifically looking at when they made this, like, they made this after part 1?
Yeah, it's so odd, especially since it feels like so much like part 2. I wonder if when they were making part 2, if they, like, looked at this one and were like, I kind of like the tone of that.
Maybe. Yeah, it's just it's a weird anomaly, and I think it might be more interesting to watch as an anomaly than a film, which I think is fine too. Like
they exist,
yeah.
But yeah, what would you give this? Like a 4?
Oh no, I'm sitting like a 6. I like
this.
I think you're sitting at a 4, maybe. Maybe a 5.
I was thinking about giving it a 6 when I was coming in here, just because I did enjoy it, but I think technically I'd consider it a 5, so I'm going to go with 5.
Yeah. Lupin the Third, 2014. I expected to like hate this movie, and I didn't hate it.
I think I went into this movie and I got exactly what I expected.
The greatest movie of all time?
No. The middest movie of all time.
It's annoying though because I think there's like bones for good stuff. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the casting in some of this. Yeah, I like Jigen quite a lot in this. At least looks-wise, I think he looks really good.
I thought the cast for the main chunk of characters is pretty spot on. I like Jigen. I liked Goemon. I thought Fujiko was fine. I thought Lupin was fine. Zenigata worked well enough.
I like that actor for Zenigata. It's just like there's a lot of really weird direction choices in this, like using English for like 40%, 70% of the dialogue.
No rhyme or
yeah, they just switch back and forth, and I understand that like some people in different cultures will switch back and forth. But for a movie that's not about, like, their culture, it just seems weird. It would make more sense if they, like, were characters that were from different places. Like, if Lupin was played by a French guy or something, like... Mm-hmm. Then it would be like, oh, they're talking English because, you know, his native language is French and theirs is Japanese. Like, that would make more sense. But no, they're just, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And
yeah, I'm not.
The actors, when they're delivering their Japanese lines, seem pretty good. Mm-hmm. When they're delivering their English lines, the dialogue, first of all, isn't very well written. And they're not super great at doing that.
No.
Which I don't think is their fault. It's a weird writing thing and it's a weird direction thing.
Yeah, I agree.
They tried, in this one, it's more of like a gritty thing. I go back and forth on what I like in Lupin if I wanted gritty. This one I think is fine to be gritty. It just also feels super generic.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like they wrote a random, like, spy movie. And, look, it's Lupin!
Yeah, just kind of shoehorned Lupin onto it.
I think both of these, their scripts lack that Lupin flair in different ways.
Yeah, I think towards the second half of the movie, it was starting to get there a little more. I found, because, like, the first half of the movie before the time skip, I found, like, I wasn't really digging it. I didn't like the backstory that they were going with, because it had to do its own origin where they're, like, part of this, like, society of, like, up-and-coming thieves.
I'm okay with this if they're gonna redo stuff. I'm actually not I'm like, this is kind of fun. I'm okay with this idea. I don't think it was super well executed, but the idea that they meet through, like, a thieves guild, I'm like, that's fine.
I wasn't super crazy about it.
I get that too, but it wasn't as big of an issue for me, I guess.
But yeah, that paired with the kind of dour tone of the first half, there wasn't really any big comedic moments. Like, I feel like the opening set piece with him, like, blowing under the statue down was, like, more so flashy than it was funny.
There's a lot of really, like, they're really wanting to be like, isn't this cool looking? And it's like, not really.
Yeah. All the action is, like, way too fast.
Yeah. Like,
edited weirdly.
Yeah, I think it's just... And I think it's also just, like, action around 2014. It was just kind of doing this. A lot of jump cuts, a lot of kind of shaky editing.
And it's like, I get it. And in terms of, like, filming it, you're able to, like, get away with a lot more with editing tricks as opposed to, like, actually getting trained. And I'm sure these people were trained. Like, I'm not saying that they weren't, but, like, getting it to look good with the framing and the big set design, you have to, like, lay out space for it. And I get it. It's probably easier in the long run to shoot an action scene like this. But yeah, it just made all the action scenes feel very bland to me. I wasn't a big fan. I can't think of, like, a single action scene in this where I was like, that was pretty cool. I liked the chase scene. The car chase.
Yeah, I was about to say, I like that. And I like that as much as, like, kind of more grounded this is, Goemon did do something stupid.
Yeah,
like
Goemon was probably my favorite piece of this. I loved when they finally did that shot of him sitting on top of the car. I was like, yeah!
Like, I did the thing!
Yes! And I liked that they were accurate to the car.
That nice. Car is great. I think most of the car stuff's fun. Mm-hmm. I do like him. He didn't cut the car in half, but he slammed it into, like, that was fun. He slammed the sword into the road so it flipped.
Yeah.
And then I like at the end when they're, like, talking and he's like, I shall leave now. And he just disappears.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun. There are bones in this movie that I think are really good. I think this movie's way too long.
Yes.
I'm like, what the it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes? I'm like, this could have easily been an hour and a half.
Without a doubt.
There are other random characters like Pierre that I'm just like, who the fuck is this? They don't do anything. Like, Michael at least serves a purpose to the plot.
Yeah, Michael is like the Sasuke kind of character. Come back to the village, Sasuke.
I'm like, why is his name Michael?
Yeah, and then there's, it's not Robert. Joseph, the computer hacker.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like they bring in all these random weird characters, and it's like,
what is the point? Yeah, like, and like padding. It's so much of this movie. If you take out these couple characters, you don't need them. Like Michael is fine as a character. I like the idea behind this rivalry. I think there's good aspects, like ideas, and there's just not.
Yeah. I honestly didn't realize Pierre was there until Lupin was like, "Pierre, take the wheel."
Huh? Yeah, I'm like, what?
I'm like, who's Pierre? Wait, who's that sitting in the front seat? Like, I thought it was Jigen this whole time. But yeah, that whole aspect was super weird. But yeah, basically the plot is that Lupin, they call him Lupin in the thing, so it's like, I watched way too many specials where they call him Lupin this week. So Lupin is, in part of this thieves guild. His uncle, who's like raised him up after his grandfather died, like basically gets shot by this group that Michael's working with because he's got Cleopatra and Mark Antony's necklace from back in the day, and they've got like the gem or whatever. So it's like trying to get all the pieces back together. Turns out that Michael, his father, was like shot. And he gave the blame to Lupin's uncle when really it's the rich guy he's been working for the whole time. And he finds this out when he's trying to like get the necklace from him. He ends up getting betrayed, so he tucks his tail between his legs and goes back to the Lupin game. Fujiko's super into him, so Lupin's like, alright, I guess you can come back. And it's like meant to be like this big like return to form, because like the uncle in the beginning is like, if you two worked together, you would be unstoppable. And it's like, I really don't care. I think that they easily could have made this plot work between, like, Lupin and Jigen or something.
Yeah. Like, there are already characters you could have done this with.
Yeah,
so.
It's like you're inventing a new origin that kind of, like, I won't say it betrays the characters, but it's not true to the characters in a sense. So it's like, you might as well have just done it with, like, Jigen or, God's sakes, Goemon, but... they decided to give us memorable Michael. It reminds me a lot of like Lupin Episode Zero's Brad. It's like a guy named Brad, and he's just like so relevant to the plot, such a driving force. But it's like you don't care about him because he's just there.
That's my favorite Lupin.
Yeah, Brad. But yeah, yeah. So there's like this super pyramid vault where like all the world's top 1% leaves all their fucking bougie shit, and that's where the necklace and the gem are. So Lupin's like, we're gonna break in there, and that's probably my favorite sequence throughout the whole movie. Is them breaking in there. Yeah,
I think the final couple set pieces are a lot better too.
Mm-hmm.
I know the first couple set pieces are so dark and dingy, and they're just not fun to watch. I just think the second half of this movie gets substantially better.
Yeah, I also think it was kind of like. At the very beginning of the movie, they have the whole, like, squeeze, like, kind of through the lasers bit. And, like, later they're in a room full of lasers. And there's, like, a 1 second period where they can just, like, run through untouched. But I think it would have been much cooler to, like, have them do some, like, acrobatic kind of shit there.
Like in Lupin the First?
Yes.
That scene's sick.
I was like, did this scene, like, build the foundation for that scene? And it's like, maybe the directors of this saw that and went... Well,
what if we made that
potential.
better?
Yeah. But, yeah, it was okay. It was mid. I was about expecting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, from the people that I've talked to who are big Lupins, they have hands, they, like, really didn't like this one. And I was higher, like, I had...
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it
enjoyed parts.
It felt like the standard, like, Takashi Miike, like, anime adaptation movie where it's just like, yep, this is the stuff. Just in live action, and kind of reduced, watered down a bit because it's in live action. So it's like, all right.
I do, there are things I like, though, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, there were definitely elements I liked.
I do like the soundtrack in this one. I do like the bumping like jazz every once in a while.
Yeah, I like the way everyone looks.
Yeah, I think
I liked the when they did the anime Lupin and like the hack thing, and he had just like this guy's hair though. I thought that was cool.
That was cute. I like the way they translated the jacket. It's like a suede in this. Mm-hmm. I thought that looked pretty good. It has some redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it.
It's not like a bad movie by any means. It's just, I think it's a little generic, like you said. But nothing bad about it. Unless you're a diehard Lupin fan and you don't allow them to make any changes whatsoever from the status quo. Which I get.
You cannot change his jacket.
It either has to be green or red, preferably red. And I swear to God, if you go for the pink era,
You piece of shit.
we're gonna bust your ass.
I think you would maybe also give this one a 5?
Yeah. Maybe a light 6. But
So would you say you liked this one more than the other one?
No, I think I definitely like the other one more, but in terms of like functionality as a plot and a story, this one definitely has its shit together more so.
That's true.
But yeah, I think you would probably give this one like a 6.
I think I'm at a 5.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Yeah. Alright, guys. Surprise, surprise. Next week we're watching Lupin.
I was so scared.
I was thinking about doing part 3, but I think we're going to skip that for now. I want to watch some newer Lupin. We're going to go into part 4.
Cool.
We're going to watch all of part 4.
I'm down.
Also, I like doing part 4, like this one, because you can just watch the whole thing while, like with part 2, we only watched like an eighth of it or whatever. A sixth, and with part 3 we will only be watching like half. So with this one we'll watch the whole thing, which I believe the English version has 26 episodes. The Japanese release only had 24. The English version has like 2 OVAs that they made also attached.
Well, I've got the English version, so I'll be
cool.
watching that.
It's hot. Hopefully it's not this hot next week, but it'll probably be hotter. Whoa!
Global warming. The world is great, especially right now.
Oh yeah,
so
a lot of really
great
stuff's been happening.
We didn't bring it up, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
I hate everything.
Yeah.
We love you though.
Uh-huh.
Bye.